Red Hill F's Ebisuguako is a living nightmare. But is this description more literal than figurative? As Hinako's journey is played out, it becomes increasingly difficult to understand what is real and what may just be a drug or trauma-induced hallucination. Evidence suggests that Hinako has a history of an unstable childhood, trouble adhering to social norms, and a desire to protect her sense of identity. Let us explore the relationships between Hinako and her classmates, the psychology behind social exclusion, and the resulting conditions that affect those living without acceptance. We first meet Hinako as she is being subjected to verbal abuse from her father. Afterwards, having a conversation with her older sister Junko, who is dressed in formal wear, her face always outside of frame. She meets up with her friends who throughout the game have strange behavior. Sakako calls her traitor. Rinko claims Hinako to be dead, and at one point pushes her down the stairs.
Hey, yo, the pizza here! My ears burn!
All the while, a mysterious fog creature chases Hinako over the course of the game, corrupting her hometown and taking her friends. The problem with all of this, however, is that Hinako is an unreliable narrator. None of these events are happening as we see them unfold. Hinako is suffering from the effects of years' worth of abuse and exclusion. What led to all this? What made Hinako a target for her town to ostracize her from childhood all the way to being chosen by the Fox clan's heir to be taken as his bride? Before we talk about Hinako's candidacy as a target for social exclusion, let's talk about a scapegoat from my favorite horror movie. Yes, this is just an excuse to talk about Zach Cregger's weapons, and I'm not sorry. Justine Gandy has recently moved to the town of Maybrook, Pennsylvania, and taken a position as a third-grade teacher. Over the course of the film, we learn that Justine has a history of inappropriate conduct with students, but the details of what that means is left to interpretation.
She had a DUI 2 years ago. Did you not see that? She was let go from her last school that she taught at for inappropriate behavior. Did you not see that one either?
We also learn that she's been charged with a DUI in the past, and through her interactions with Paul, it is implied she met him through court-ordered Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. At 2:17 a.m. one morning, all but one of her students runs off into the night. Justine quickly becomes the scapegoat of the town due to her past and her reaction to the event, and the town's outrage toward her doesn't help the situation. Her concerns are dismissed by her school's principal, and she is instructed not to make contact with Alex, the only other survivor of the triggering event. She is harassed by the townspeople, such as Archer and Paul's wife, and ultimately the antagonist of the film. During these events, we also see Justine giving in to alcohol addiction, promiscuous interactions with Paul, practically stalking her student she was instructed to stay away from, and it is implied that she has no support system whatsoever. Without spoiling the end, what possible future could Justine have? At best, she will have a life full of therapy, medication, dead-end jobs, and barely scraping by. But the more likely outcome is life in prison due to police cover-up of the incident, or ultimately, taking the easy way out. Wow, that got really heavy. And knowing where the rest of this video is headed, why don't we bring up the energy for just a second? And what better way is there to increase your energy level than with our brand partner, Advanced.gg? Advanced is proud to make the world's most trusted gaming energy drinks and supplements. All of their clean, productivity-boosting drinks are made with all-natural caffeine and L-theanine from green tea. Each serving gives you a delicious and energizing boost, with no jitters, no crash, and no added sugar. Their energy and hydration line of drinks are packed with electrolytes and vitamins, ensuring optimal performance. And for a limited time, you can get yourself a Chizu Coyote branded jar of ghastly grape featuring my geyser form to up the Halloween spirit. Check out the link in the description and use code Chizu at checkout to save 10% off your order. So, how does examining the character of Justine Gandy help us understand Hinako a bit better? Well, like Justine, Hinako has a history that has justified her social exclusion with the townspeople of Ebisuguako. As a child, Hinako was excluded by the boys because they were socialized not to play with girls. She was in turn bullied by girls for wanting to play with the boys. Her feelings about this are dismissed by her family when she tells them she wants to be a boy.
I hate girls. I don't want to be a girl. I want to be a boy.
Hinako is constantly nagged by her family and peers for gender nonconforming interests and mannerisms. It is implied that Hinako gets into a lot of trouble due to her aggressive and impulsive behavior and unwillingness to follow the guidance of her elders. Hinako is likely suffering from complex PTSD, which is not actually a diagnosable condition due to not being listed in the DSM-5, but its symptoms do include having flashbacks or nightmares, heightened emotional responses such as impulsivity or aggressiveness, persistent difficulties in sustaining relationships, and difficulties with identity and sense of self. The school area of the game demonstrates the escalation of Hinako being targeted and how the psychological effects increase as the behavior of her peers escalate. At first, the school is quiet and empty. Things change as we learn more about her peers' behavior to mirror Hinako's sense of safety at school. Scarecrows begin to appear, representing how everyone is a potential threat, and eventually, some scarecrows do turn out to be aggressive. Her behavior is sometimes seen as impulsive or aggressive. Not everything is as it seems, though. Thanks to one of the game's endings, we know that the school uniforms that she sees herself and her childhood friends in, and the wedding attire we see her sister in, are not how they are actually appearing in reality.
You look really weird in a tie.
Yeah, well, you look really weird in that.
During the events of Silent Hill F, it is implied that Hinako is actually 20 years old. This leads us to believe that Hinako is in arrested development and stuck emotionally in the past. Ebisuguako is a nightmare in Hinako's mind. As her safety becomes increasingly threatened, she exhibits heightened emotional responses and outbursts at home. Due to manipulation by the hands of her friend Shu, she develops a dependence on the red pills, which turn out to have the infamous ingredient of White Claudia found in other Silent Hill games. All this culminates in the first ending of the game, where it is implied that Hinako goes on a killing spree. Hinako has persistent difficulties in sustaining relationships with her family and with friends. Her father is abusive and her mother enables and excuses his behavior. Her older sister Junko is her main supportive person until she is taken away by her role as a wife. Her only friends are Sakako, a socially awkward autistic girl who is also a target of social exclusion, Shu, who spends most of his time with his grandmother learning family medicine, and Hinako, which makes him another target of social exclusion, and Rinko, who has a fascination with Shu and is jealous of Hinako. Hinako is eventually chosen by the Fox clan's heir as his bride-to-be, which stokes jealousy in the town. This outcome leads Shu to increasing Hinako's dosage of red pills, and it's later implied that he takes his own life in despair. This leads to Rinko blaming Hinako. Sakako, who would otherwise be friends forever with Hinako, is upset with her leaving town to be married and calls her a traitor. If you've ever been bullied, been in a hostile work environment, or even just lived as a member of a marginalized community, a lot of this probably sounds familiar to you. Everyone has the potential to be dangerous until proven not to be. And even then, that sense of safety can be taken away in an instant.
There'll be nothing left. Every nest will be empty. Your parents, your friends, everyone will leave you behind. You'll be all alone.
Hinako also has difficulty with identity and sense of self. This is represented by her sister's face never being shown and later being replaced with a representation of the clan she married into. This mirrors the way Hinako sees herself if she compromises her identity to fulfill society's role for her as Kotoyuki's bride. This event creates a split in Hinako's mental state as two distinct personalities. The Shimizu Hinako, who is stuck in the past, wanting to stick to her ideals and not lose her identity, and the Hinako who is willing to sacrifice her identity and agency in order to live a much safer life, abiding by the social pressures placed upon her for daring to be born a woman. There are two dissociative disorders that can help us understand what Hinako is going through here: dissociative identity disorder and otherwise specified dissociative disorder. Symptoms of each can be triggered by CPTSD and can develop fully into these conditions if left untreated. Hinako's fate is left to the player in the form of multiple endings. One scene in particular, though, resonates with me the most.
Even if I end up miserable, if it's because of what I chose on my own, then it's all worth it.
Happiness is choosing your own path, no matter the outcome. Choosing what feels right for you, even if it causes you pain, even if people will disown you, in order to live your truth. That's relatable. Ultimately, it is unclear what is real and what each ending has to say about the events of Silent Hill F. Looking at previous entries in the series only leads to more confusion, as it is ambiguous which games occur alongside real events. The occult rituals and history of the town, the existence of Alessa, White Claudia, and Aglafatis, the possible existence of a looping purgatory in Silent Hill 2, and more leave a lot up to interpretation. There is, however, a game that might help us look at the events of Silent Hill F in a different light. It's not a Silent Hill game, so this should be taken with a grain of salt, but it deals with a lot of similar themes, and it's hard to deny the similarities. Omori is one of my favorite games ever. It's an RPG made by a small team over the course of 7 years with a unique art style, cute characters and setting, and some of the most unsettling events I've ever seen in a game of its kind. The game's story features 2 distinct worlds. Faraway Town, where we experience the game as Sunny, a shut-in who is about to move away to a new town, leaving his old life behind. And Headspace, a mysterious and whimsical place resembling something out of a children's TV show, where we play as Omori, a depressed kid devoid of color who is loved by his friends and sister Mari. Over the course of the game, we learn that Headspace exists in Sunny's mind and is inhabited by an alternate personality named after a triggering object from his past. We visit Headspace in Sunny's sleep, and the other characters there represent Sunny's memories of his friends and family as he saw them when he was a child, before the triggering event. Omori and Headspace are both evidence of Sunny and his arrested development caused by trauma and a result of dissociative amnesia, a symptom of dissociative disorders such as OSDD and DID. Within Headspace exists a deeper, darker realm known as Black Space. This is where the truth of Sunny's past trauma is kept a secret from him and where Omori has power over him. This is also where Omori and Sunny have a final confrontation, or duet, if you will. The winner of this conflict ultimately gains control of Sunny's mind and body, and the outcome of this internal struggle has serious consequences.
Twists and turns. It's like I'm walking through my head.
I believe the Dark Shrine is Hinako's Black Space. We learn many truths about her and her situation here. The monsters are more dangerous here, and ultimately this is where the showdown between Hinako's 2 personalities fight for control of her fate. Ebisuguako may also be a part of Hinako's headspace. The events, locations, monsters, and people are a reflection of how Hinako sees their real-life counterparts, not how they actually appear in waking life. There is no evidence that we ever set foot in her actual hometown, which solidifies this game's place in the Silent Hill series, but also that none of this is real. Even the coming home to roost ending is only one possible outcome, which is a representation of what may happen if Hinako reaches her wedding day without resolving her identity problems. I believe that the events of Silent Hill F are a nightmare, or a series of nightmares that we experience through the perspective of both Hinakos before their wedding with Kotoyuki. It is also possible that the murders did actually occur. Hinako has been killed by police and is reliving her own personal nightmare, kind of like James Sunderland and his experience with the events of Silent Hill 2. It's also possible that these events are actually real. The monsters are real, and the use of White Claudia and rituals involving the Fox clan have caused a hellish existence to take over the town of Ebisuguako, much in the same way Alessa's failed ritual caused the events of the original Silent Hill. Which one of these theories do you think is the truth? Do you have a completely different theory? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this, please be sure to like and subscribe and turn on notifications to catch my future live streams and uploads. Also, consider checking out my VTuber agency's Patreon to support our upcoming VTuber auditions. And as always, take care of yourselves and each other. Mwah!